Hello, hello. How are you? Are you good? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Excellent. So let me set the stage for everybody that's joining. You had a question. Our friend Jitter Ted on the Discord, and I was traveling. I think I was on the plane when I responded to the message, and I just said, "Hey, let's just jump on and let's just do it live," because sometimes that's one of the ways that I learn is like just kind of like seeing what's going on, and I'm probably not gonna have all the answers, but I have some time, and maybe we can learn something together. That's the whole idea here. So in the meantime, I don't even remember when we set this up, but yeah, use my calendar. Boom, here we are. And you sent me a link. So I've got it checked out. I've got the repository checked out, and let's go. Give me the lay of the land. What are we trying to accomplish here?
Yeah, so I've been working on this client
Actually, hold on.
project.
How about you
Yes.
introduce yourself? My name is Deshaun. I'm a Spring Developer Advocate, and yeah, maybe not everybody knows, but how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nathan Lively, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've been an audio engineer and a teacher for many years, and in the last few years during the pandemic, started working on software. And now I work on software more than I do audio stuff, but I build tools and things now for pro audio. So the last project that I was working on was for a local AV company, and it was some staffing software. And the project is starting to wrap up, and I started seeing videos and videos from Dan Vega, videos from coming out of Spring One about AOT and GraalVM, and I started watching some of those, and I was like, "Oh, this is great," but I don't have time to do that compilation step every time. But then once somebody said, "Oh, you can do that in GitHub Actions," I was like, "Oh, this should just be my normal CI/CD pipeline all the time. Like, why not?" So that's why I felt like now is a good time to spend a little bit of time figuring out how to do that because I feel like I would just want to do this all the time in the future. So if I can figure
Yeah, me
out on
too.
one project, why not do it all the time?
Absolutely. That is exactly the right way. That's what I want you to think. And the thing is, you can build the native images. Not every workload needs to go with the native images in production. You can build them because there's value in development. If you got other people that are working on your thing and it's not going to production, sometimes it's also valuable to have an image that they can run, a small one, a light version that they can run on their laptop. And those native images, sometimes they're actually faster, but it depends. What I'm saying is build the native images as a part of your CI process and then decide whether or not you want to use it. You don't have to. Just because you build it doesn't mean you have to use it. You can make that decision later, but having those native images around is valuable for when you're ready to do it. Yeah, it's nice having that option.
Yeah, so the stuff I deploy all costs money. You know how much memory it uses, and every. I don't even quite understand how everything gets charged, but I know that the less resources I can use, the less money it costs, and so that's less money for
Yes,
my customers that I'm building stuff for and clients that I'm building software for. And so I really like this idea of efficiency.
that is exactly right. That's a great idea. So where should we start?
So I spent all yesterday trying to get this working with my current client project
Mhm.
and didn't figure it out. And so this morning I thought, oh, I'll just start with a simple like hello world example. And I also didn't figure that out. So I have these two things. Maybe it would be better to start with the simpler option, which is the hello world example,
All right.
because that we can do anything to, and we can throw it away and start over again.
Yeah.
So
Do
yeah, we could
you?
start from zero, or we could start with the hello world example. I
Let's
don't
start
know.
with the Hello World example.
Okay.
Do you want to drive or do you want me to drive?
I don't know. What do you think would be better?
I'll drive. How's that?
Okay,
I'm ready. Let me hit this button. Boom. And maybe you can see my screen.
I can.
All right, fantastic. We're gonna move this other stuff out of the way. Actually, I'll bring this and say, hey, I just checked out this repository that you sent me. It is
Mhm.
public, so if anybody wants to follow along, and this is just, I didn't have anything planned. I checked this out, and let's just see. let's see what we're doing. I noticed that it had Java 22, so let's do this. This is my first step.
I'm noticing that is OpenJDK, but it should be GraalVM, right?
Oh, so I just grabbed Java 22. So that's cool. Hey, my tests pass. This is good.
Okay.
I don't need the GraalVM in order to work locally, that local environment. So that's good. Do I want to run it? Let's see what we got. Fantastic. It's up and running. And then let's take it for a spin. I'm gonna bring my browser back. And I didn't look, but I think it's at local host 8080, and I'm gonna go see, is it up and running? No, you didn't add the actuator.
No actuator. Your face.
That's okay. It's okay. So hey, this worked. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So far so good.
Yeah.
And
That's all it
now,
does.
yeah, and now the next question is like, let's go do a native image. So for local, if I wanted to like validate that, hey, this works, can I build a native image? Let's do that. How does that sound?
Sure.
MBNW. Oh, I got to switch my Java version. So let's do SDK, get list Java, pipe grep installed. Let's see what I got installed so we can go a little bit fast. And I know that here's a Nick version. This is Java 22. So let's grab this one. And let's do SDK, use Java. So I'm not using the Graal. I didn't have it installed. I'm just using this one, which will also work. So it's just Liberica's that has the NIC, the native image kit.
Okay.
And we should work, right? It should be fine. And then let's do MV and W. And I'm going to do dash P native. That's all that I need to do to make the native image. Spring. Oh, no. I'll do... yes. Why am I blanking?
I'm also curious to see
Uh,
what you're going to type here because I have
native
two ideas of what this should be.
compile. Is that what it is? Native compile, I think is what it is. I'm blanking. I haven't had my caffeine yet. So this is the step. I did the native profile and I said native : compile, and this should deliver me a native image. So we're just checking that, hey, yes, this code can build natively, and we're just checking boxes, like see if we run into anything. But it's a simple Hello World app. It should be just fine. And it'll take on this machine, not knowing anything else about it, it takes like a minute 10, for
Okay.
a simple Hello World app. And what this is doing, this is where I normally like to draw a picture. So let's do that. While that's going, I say like, hey, back in the day, we had bytecode. We were told that bytecode, this was the thing that Java brings. If you've got bytecode, that same bytecode can run on any Java virtual machine, JVM. And then the virtual machine converts that bytecode into stuff for your operating system. So if you've got a Java virtual machine that runs on Darwin and M1, that bytecode will work. And if you've got another machine that has a virtual machine that's running on Windows, on x86, that same bytecode will run. That's the promise of Java. Write once, run anywhere. And it's amazing. In Java 1.3, we had this thing called Hotspot got introduced, the Hotspot JVM. And what it did was it looked for the hotspots of your bytecode. Like, hey, we see that you're using this bit of code a lot and it is hot. So let's optimize that. They took that little bytecode and they optimized it all the way down, skipping the native image or the Java virtual machine. They said, oh, let's just optimize that bit all the way down to the operating system, to the native image code. And the Hotspot JVM that came out with Java 1.3 has been doing that for a long time, since the 90s, right? Like long time ago. And the GraalVM team said, well, why not just do it all? And they said, hey, let's just take all of that bytecode and we'll make it native. And then it can run on the same operating system and architecture. So that's what we're doing over here. Is it's, It looks like it froze. That's not good.
Is that what it looks like? Because yeah, it's done that for me almost every time.
Okay, so we ran into a problem. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the bytecode converted to native code to run on whatever operating system and architecture. So here's one of the caveats of this is if I'm building for x86, that code is not going to run on my M1. So what you've got to do is you've got to build a native image for the operating system and architecture that you're going to use it on. So let's go back here. This is clearly frozen, and I might have run into this before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, and I'm just going to do this. Nano, don't judge my thing, and I'm going to change it to Java 21. And don't ask, because I don't remember what the problem was. If it's just me, if it's just on this Darwin, I don't remember. But all I'm doing is change it to Java 21, and then I'm gonna change my SDK man or my JDK SDK with Java that are already installed, and let's do this one. Right there's Growl CE. SDK use Java, and let's try it again. How's that sound? So all the change, I saw that it paused. I feel like I've ran into that before. So let's just do the same thing. MVNW native colon compile, and this might work. It might. Clearly didn't. Let's see what happened now. Oh, we got to redo it. Make sure, maybe. Did we have something else that was looking for Java 22? Okay, we're good in good shape. Let's try it again. Now I get it. I want to be on the latest, and the laptop that I've been traveling with, it also has the early access version of Java 23, right? Java 22 has been out for months, right? So Java 23 is coming right around the corner. We get a new version. Oh, wait. Now this is interesting. I've not run into this in a long time. Oh, no. It kept on going. I was like, well, what's it? I think we're in good shape. I was like, oh, it looked like it looked like it had paused in the same spot. Didn't we have the 2 of 8 there just a second ago?
I don't remember. I've,
Okay, okay.
oh,
So
there we
let's see
go.
what's happening. So it's perform analysis. All right, it's classes that should be initialized. We have some things. All right, so let's take a look. Let's jump in and see what's happening. Normally I get a hint.
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
sometimes it tells you exactly what to do.
yeah, I'm gonna change my little font here. See if I can find what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the class that's giving me the headache. And we have a strategy for this. And now my muscle memory is not there, but let's go take a look at what's happening here. Let's see what we got. The problems when the GraalVM, right? It's bytecode. It's doing this ahead of time at build time, and it needs to know like where's all the code. And what that analysis just did, it said, hey, the information that I have, if I run this, if there's reflection, right? If there's a proxy, it's like, hey, I'm looking for this class, and I don't see that class because the step that we did before, it couldn't find it. It didn't get initialized in the build. So that's one of the features, right, of Spring, especially like where you can use reflection. One of the things that's delivered by the language. But that native image compiler, the native image kit, can't find those things. It can't do reflection because it's building that native code, and that's not provided there. So what we have to do is we have to get hints. And I noticed that you had put in somewhere, right? You had some native image repository. or a metadata repository, or maybe that was just.
Yeah, so at meta.inf,
Oh, here we
you can
go.
see I ran the tracing
Yeah.
tool, and that's what I got from the tracing tool. Now, since then, since I was playing around with it this morning, I ran the tracing tool and then I was trying to figure out like what is missing here. And I looked at another project and just pulled in this hints registrar, and
Yep.
that didn't seem to fix it. So we can delete that or not.
Yeah. So the idea is you're saying like, hey, and is this right? I don't
I just
remember.
copied it from another project. We don't even
Yeah.
need that PDF stuff in
Yep.
there.
So I'm gonna go. I think I have an example, and I'm trying to think of where I did this.
Well, I got that hint registrar initially from Dan Vega's project,
Yeah.
and then I just added a couple more lines.
Fantastic. I'm gonna see if I can find. Is this the one? I think this is the one where I kind of go down that same path, and the reason is I had something in my. I had to load this CSV file, which is in source
Yep.
main resources, therefore it's on the class path. But in order to do that, right, that's a runtime thing where it loaded it dynamically. So in order to make that happen, nope, I didn't put it here. Where did I put it?
Now,
Right there
my
in hints.
understanding is that if you do the tracing tool, then you don't need to do the runtime hints. But at this point, I'm just trying everything because I can't figure out
That
what's
is
wrong.
exactly right. That's what that tool is for. We have some comments like here. Somebody says like, "Hello, hello, welcome," and another one, "Hey, all natives are just great. Thanks for it. Still some learning curve to master, especially in multi-module Spring projects." Yes, yes. There's some places, but there's a path. So here, I'm just looking. I'm comparing hints, resources, register pattern. Uh, I think you did the same thing. Hints, resource. Yeah. So what that's saying is like, hey, look for anything in that resources. Now you're pulling in these, and maybe that's what we need to do. Is this going to pull in all of those?
Good question.
Uh, you ran this, and I'll bet that we have. I'm gonna do Control F. I'm gonna say, hey, did main.html come in? There it is. So that pattern did get registered. You ran the agent, but there's a lot of extra stuff here that the agent is delivering. And I'm going to guess, just an educated guess, I'm going to guess that if we put it like this, we put that same templates layout. I'm going to guess we make that change in our hints registrar. Boom. I'm thinking that'll do it. And I'm going to do this for each one. I'm going to do templates. Whoops. Boom. Uh, what else we need in there? We have main, we have index, and then we need application. Static CSS application.css. I'm going to get these out. So now we've got a resource reference for each. The other piece is, I think the location of this, I feel like this needs to be just put here.
So the old version of the instructions for the tracing tool say to put it there. The
Okay.
new versions of the documentation for the tracing tool tell you to put it in the class path.
Well, fantastic. So we should probably read the docs, and thank you for giving me that. Yeah. So guess, but let's
I've been
try
around
this.
and around it
Yeah.
yesterday trying to.
Let's just try this. So when I look at this, and I know that, hey, I've ran into that issue before, clearly, in my repo. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything else, right? Or it's just a
You
hello
should look
world.
at the Palm file because I've put a couple of customizations into that native image plugin in the native profile at the bottom. And I don't think any of those are a problem, but you might just want to see what I've put in
Right.
there.
Oh, so yeah.
So
So
that
yep.
first profile is automatic from the Hello World example. TTCLI tool that I used to build this, but then I wrote the native one or copied it from as much as I could from the documentation. And so I'm having it start
Got
the
it.
agent every time and just trying and so that in the future if I change anything, I'm hoping it'll catch that and then merge it with the current tracing data, but I don't know if that's correct. You feel free to delete all this stuff if you want.
Yeah. I think we're okay. I'm gonna keep on looking here. Yeah, I think we're okay. But let's try it, right?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. But you know what I do know? I do know how to run this. Let's see if it works. Maybe I should have done a clean first. And we'll see. Time leaf is the bit that was going to look and pull in those templates. That was the runtime bit. So where we're using reflection in those dynamic loading from the class path, that seems like a good candidate for what we were running into.
Hmm.
So let's see. We'll see. We have Here's Daniel says, I watched the Spring AL stream, and interestingly, the response time are slightly higher when running the Pet Clinic as native image. Um, could have been many reasons, but yeah. Not every workload is going to be faster with the native image. The JVM is still amazing. But yeah, like try it out because there are opportunities. Others, yep, that works. We saw that one. Fabio says, hi, Fabio here from GraalVM team. Look at this. Please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any suggestions how we can improve our docs, examples, or developer experience like Fabio. Like, this is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Look at it. When we do things live, right? We wouldn't have had Fabio jump in if we were just on a Zoom. So this is cool. It's cool for me. So let's go take a look, and we still have something else. So something
And
else is
I should
still
say, since he chimed in, I did look at several of the examples that GraalVM has for Java applications, and I honestly didn't understand them. And I'm just a beginner, so a lot of this is over my head. Like I read all of the AOT documentation and understood, barely any of it. So this is part of the
okay.
problem is
Okay,
that so much of the deployment technology I'm not familiar with.
and yeah, thanks. That's important, right? The documentation. Sometimes we're writing software and we deliver the documentation, and it's hard to know where everybody's coming from. It's hard to find the sweet spot. How deep do we go on the documentation on our assumptions? So yeah, that's always valuable stuff. And this is cool technology, right? Not everybody, get it to work, right? That's a developer's typical path is get it to work, and then later on, after it's worked and your company's growing, then you're like, oh wait, why is it costing so much to run our company? Oh well, we can go optimize things, certain things. We're being charged
So
for a millisecond in the cloud.
if you prefer, we could start a new project and then that'll almost definitely work. And then we can add Timeleaf and add Tailwind and add these
Yes.
other dependencies that this Hello World example
Yeah.
maybe is not simple enough.
So here's the thing. I'll just leave that. Like, what all of these things, like time leak, the dynamic class loading, you're going to have to do this no matter what, right? There's no magic button that solves all of the native image. We have to deliver those hints. But that path that you took was the right path to deliver the agent, to build the meta inf, and there's new documentation, right? There's new steps. So this is new to me, but I feel like if I have to go back and read, I'll say that I have to
The
go back
only
and read.
real difference I saw in the newer documentation for the agent is that you put it in the class path instead of the resources folder.
And did Actually, do you want to point me to that documentation? I
Yes.
want to read that, and I want to understand it. And at the same time, look at Simon's here. Simon's a regular. He's awesome, and he says, "Yeah, it makes you appreciate Circle CI." And the reason he says that, the reason I say that, is because Circle CI gives you ARM64 builders, so you can build native images on Circle CI just like you do on GitHub. Right now, the GitHub ARM64 images they're out, but you pay for them uh, at the moment. And yeah, so I leverage Circle CI still.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in the private chat first, and then I'll put it
Okay,
in the comments because I need to log into YouTube.
here I will just copy it over and I'll put it there.
Okay, good, because it's gonna make me verify, and
Yeah,
I don't have my phone with me.
no worries. There it is. And then yeah, trial and error teach more, especially with new technology. Like yeah, like we got to learn somewhere. And there's also a thing about muscle memory. Um, as you're doing this, I've got all my native image stuff in pipelines already. So the things that I run into or did as I was adopting native images, yeah, once you kind of figured out, oh, here's where the hints go for this use case, like the sources, the class path resources, uh, here's what you do. And once you have that agent, so I'll tell you the story here is the agent process. You can run that and you get some additional information, right? Like, I didn't need all of this. I got this on that other project that I was pointing towards. I got it all, but what I really needed was just this. But when I ran the agent, I got a bunch of metadata, and maybe that metadata is actually better, and maybe that delivers a better native image. But I didn't need it, and I was just like, oh, okay, this gets me moving forward. So what we really want to do right now is we want to figure out how to pull in this metadata into our native image because we have the information that we need. We just got to pull it in. So let's do this. I shouldn't need this class, right? If I've got the metadata.
That's
You
my
agree?
understanding.
So
Yep.
let's take this out for now.
And and then you'll need to delete the annotation from the application as well. Y-
Yeah, okay. Do that again. Fantastic. So now, cool. And you put the documentation. Oh, and the documentation was here. Configure the native image with tracing agent. Example with no configuration. Here's what we're doing. And I'm just kind of like scanning this real quick. Okay. It says, hey, make this directory. And then it says,
That's the tracing
there's,
tool.
yep. Okay. All right. So I think that we're spitting this out. I'm going to do this. I think, let me look. When you ran the tracing agent, where's that configured?
I just did it in the command line.
So you did that once.
Uh-huh. I have it saved if you want the command.
Nope. I,
Okay.
I'm going to do this because I think that what we were doing here is running the Java from the command line, merge this into my project. I think that Spring, if this is in, and I'm just guessing, I think if I move this down here, because we're using Spring and the Spring Boot build plugin, I think we're gonna be okay. The other
Okay.
thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna comment this out. No, I don't need to comment it out. Yeah, I do. Because I want to make sure that I'm using the Spring Parent Palm profile.
Hmm.
So this is what I'm doing. I already had that native image profile is provided. So that's what I'm going to
But
do.
you'll need to add the native image plugin though to the plugins, right?
Yes.
Because I moved it from plugins to profile.
Fantastic. Um, is that the one that I do?
Yep, it's those two lines,
Hold on.
GraalVM.
I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
The only thing I need here is this one. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm gonna hit this button. I'm gonna go peek. This one. Is that what we
Hmm.
had?
Yep, it's those
Okay.
two lines.
That's the same one. Fantastic. Uh,
You passed it. It was down there in plugins. Oh no, you're right.
yeah.
Sorry, you're right. Screen's so small.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I learned this. Boop, boop. Whoops. I hit shift. I type zoom. And then I can change. I can make it bigger.
Nice.
There we go. All right. Now I think we're in good shape. Now we're cooking with gas. And now, and Fabio's giving us some tips. He says, the issue seems to be related to the class not at build time, which is not caused by missing registrations for reflection, resource, etc. So unrelated to metadata. Oh, see, we had eyeballs. And that's good. I'm not sure what he's looking at. Nothing's jumping out at me. Fabio, here's what I'm going to do. Because you're here and you're helping us out. Fabio,
Bring him in.
yeah, let's shoot me an email if you would like to join and help us get through this, right? We're just trying to do something simple. Come on in. My email is deshaun@deshaun.com. And anybody, I use email. But I can't type on that small screen. There's my email. If you'd like to join, come on in, and we'll bring you right in, and we'll go. So I'm gonna open up my email over here just in case Fabio's hanging out. But we have some additional expertise. I made a change because I think this is what I would do. And look at this. Yeah, Fabio, thanks. This is awesome. Thanks. Thanks for your work. Maybe examples containing popular Spring Framework APIs will be great. For instance, native images and multi-module projects. Thanks again. Yeah, like, that's cool. There's tons of stuff, right? I wished I had a reference example for all the things that I was doing. That's hard. It's hard to keep up, and that's why we do these things, right? We all want to learn together. So what did we do? What change did we make? I got rid of the profile plugin because I'm using that profile plugin, and I did that because I want to use the one that Spring Team gave me. Anytime that
Yep.
I'm overwriting something that the Spring Team gave me, I'm like, that makes me feel some kind of way. So I want to use the stuff, that they're recommending, and that's what I'm just try it again. I'm gonna try it again. Let's see what happens. What could possibly go wrong? I can't break it anymore. So now I see that I've got some reflection configuration resources. That's cool. Let's see if it does anything. We're still on 2 of 8 performing analysis. It feels like it's taking a little bit longer. I'm seeing that line a little bit longer. We'll see. We've got time.
By the way, this has come up every time, and it does make me does give me some confidence, these experimental options, that it is reading our meta-inf folder.
Yeah. So yeah, so it says classes that should be initialized at runtime got initialized during image building. Why is that? So we can use this trace. That's it. That's interesting. Um, so I'm gonna pause. And here, hey Tukes says, "Hello guys, congratulations! Amazing talk and 17 billion devices number is crazy." Uh, yeah, I think he's referencing the talk about Spring Boot on the Edge. These native images that we're taking out in crazy places. Uh, yeah, it's a thing. Uh, and thanks for watching it. I was actually embarrassed. Like the demos didn't go so well at Spring IO, so I was really embarrassed. I haven't gone and watched it because I was like, oh, I didn't really get to do what I wanted to do. So yeah, but there's more. Uh, so yeah, hey, we're getting stuff moving. Um, what I want to do is I want to pause. I want to take a step back and let's just make sure that we can get a native image. And let's talk about buildings and pipelines, and then we'll come back and we'll diagnose like why this one we're not getting the stuff that we need.
Mhm.
Some of the projects are going to be easy, and some of them aren't. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pivot because I know what the goal is. So let's do that. Let's start with simple. Well, we're going to
Great.
start that's Spring.io. I'm going to use these
Let's get some
things.
confidence.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I just want to win. We're going to use web. And we're going to use the actuator, and that makes it so I don't even have to do any development. And then native image support. Cool. This is easy. Of course, it's going to work. And I'm going to use Java 22.
All
Generate.
right. Bold.
Yes. Right. It's been a while. We'll figure it out. And if Java 22 doesn't work, which I think it will, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go to our downloads. We're gonna unzip demo, and we're going to grab Java 22. Whoops. Grab installed, and we're gonna switch back to Java 22. This one works. It has the native image kit. Okay, use Java that one, and mbnw-p native compile. What could possibly go wrong? I'm just jumping right into it. I'm confident that this is going to work, and we'll see. The pipelines. Now, here's the thing. What we're going to get out of this is a binary that's going to work on Darwin and M1, ARM64 architecture. And that's probably not what you want to have. That's probably not what you're running in production, right? Or are you running on Darwin in production?
So this is one of my questions is my understanding is that I can do this in GitHub Actions, but GitHub Actions is not even running the machine that's running in production. So how do I set that up correctly?
Yes. So this is where, yeah, this is where I was hoping the conversation was going to go, right? So this is my path to production, right? That's exactly what your path to production looks like, right? And there's a point at that where we say like, hey, I want to build a native image. But this one is going to be for ARM64, which will work on my M1. It'll work on my Raspberry Pis. I'll do that. But I want to do that same thing for x86. And what I'm going to do in my pipelines, I'm going to build it for Linux because I can put that into a container, right? I can put that into an OCI image. And right? That containerized operating system with this architecture will work. So if I build it into an OCI image, it'll run on my M1, it'll run on my Linux in an OCI image. So I still get a ton of benefits. And look at this. And Fabian, hey, next time, thank you for the email and thank you for joining. We're pivoting. We're going to keep on going because our project built, we have a native image. If I go here and I run it, target demo, I should be up and running. Hey, we're on 8080. And then to validate that it works, I'm going to go over here. And it's not, I didn't put anything there, but I did put a health endpoint in there, so it's up. So that's why I put that health endpoint. I didn't have to do any coding. I just built it, and now I have an endpoint. Cool, right?
Right.
Like, it works. So we have a native image. It builds. We're using Java 22 as we should. And now, how do I build a native image in my GitHub Action? Well, I've been doing
Can I
this for a while.
show
Yeah.
you? Feel free to go straight into what you know works. I'm just sharing with you the one I found on the marketplace that I had started copying, and just sharing with you sort of my frame
Yeah.
of
So now here's
the
the
only
cool
other
thing.
thing I've seen.
Yep. Here's the cool thing. Uh, I like to use a technology called build packs. Have you heard of build packs?
Yeah.
Yes, I use build packs. So what that means is I can go mvnw spring boot build image. I've got over here, you can see maybe a little, I have Docker running. I've got Docker desktop running. And now what this is going to do, I didn't put the P native. So this is just going to build an OCI image that has an extra layer. It's got a layer that looks like this. It's going to deliver bytecode layer. It's going to deliver a layer that has a JVM and then Linux. And because I'm building on an M1, it'll be Linux for ARM64. But I can build that image and it'll work. That's great. Hey, we can see, hey, we're pulling in our build pack. Now this is concerning. Oh, because I didn't build it. So it just used Java 17. If I would have built it locally first, then I bet that would have been Java 20. Oh, no, here we go. That's not the right version. I'm looking over here. Yeah, it is. Just kidding. It's grabbing the right version. It's using Java 22.
Great.
It's going to build that native image. Which is awesome. There we go. I was like, hey, what's happening here? It passed in this 17, but then down here we can see that it grabbed 22. SIFT is given our SBOM, our bill of materials, so we know all the dependencies that are going into this image. But it's building an OCI image, a container that we can run on Docker or Kubernetes on other platforms. So here's how we make it so that we can kind of move that workload around and not have to build one for ARM64, M1, for M2, M3, and Raspberry Pi, and all the other things. We'll build it with Linux, and we'll put it into a container that can run on any of these other machines.
Do you want to then try to deploy that to Railway, which is where I'm hosting, or do you want me to clone it and then I'll try to deploy it?
We can do that, and we've actually done that before. So this is building. Oh, it is building the native image. I forgot that the Spring Boot build image builds the native image by default if it sees the native image dependency, which we put in there. So it's building a native image. So this will work. So that's all we need to do. You can deploy that. Actually, you can do that. Let's have you do it because you've got your Railway configs. So let's have you. I'm gonna have you share your screen, and we're gonna go through the exact same steps. We went to start.spring.ao. We chose Maven. I'm gonna have you share your screen. My image is still building.
Right. I'm just moving some windows around.
And yeah, we chose Maven, Java 22, and then everything else worked. actually, I think my build is hanging. It's the build pack, I think, that had the problem with Java 22 native image.
Okay.
Is that
Do
real?
you want me to do Java 21
Let's do
instead?
Java 21 because
Okay.
I have a lot more confidence in that. There's something in my head, and I don't remember what it is, about the native image with Java 22, and I think it was because of the build pack. So I'm going to throw your screen on the screen, and I'm going to make it bigger so I can maybe see. So we chose Maven. We chose 3.3.1 because that came out yesterday, and you should choose that. And we chose Java 21. We have Spring Web, we have GraalVM support, and Actuator. Yes, that's what we should do.
You forgot the name. Oh, it's right there. Native demo.
And I'm just redoing it on my side, where I'm going to switch back to Java 21.
And so at this point, I should be working on the GitHub action, or I should try to
Nope, just build it locally.
locally. Okay.
MVNW Spring Boot build image. And I'm doing the same. So when I think about the build packs and the Paketo team, right? The build packs that we use, that the Spring team is using, the Paketo team has a lot of work. And there's like a question like the Java 21 has LTS features. Java 22, I don't think has LTS features in it. So they had to make a decision like, hey, do we update? Do we make it an option? There's not a lot of people building these things for us. They have a lot of other work. So yeah, this is a thing. They got to make a decision on do they do that. I'm hoping that they do that, and I'm hoping that they also are looking forward and doing early access. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to generate images with early access releases of Java 23 today? Right? If we want to keep up, if we want to keep on the latest and greatest technologies, it's nice to have early access. So my image built. How's
It's
yours?
funny because my intention is not necessarily to be on the bleeding edge,
Yeah.
but when we're sort of struggling with these little things, I'm like, oh, did I get into this too early?
No. No, you didn't. And you know what else? There's a community here, and that's a big part of what we're doing is it's an open source community, and I really am a big fan of this community because like Fabio jumped in, like we have a great community that is first of all giving us all these cool technologies, but then they're also showing up and coming in to help. So I love that. It's fun. You didn't get in too early, but you know what? I'm guessing. I see some red. I can't read it. But did you switch to Java 21?
No.
All right, let's do that. Let's switch to Java 21 and then do it again. Oh, the JVM that you're using locally. So after I did my POM, then I did SDK use Java 21.0.2-GraalCE. So you're on
I'm
22.
using I'm using 22, but it should be GraalVM 22, not Termarin, right?
That, yes. Now, wait. Inside the build pack is where it needs that Java 21. Inside the build pack, it's going to say, hey, yeah, I need this.
Okay.
But locally, you want to use Java 21 on your command line because it's building the image and then the build pack's looking, oh, this is compiled with Java 22. Let me try to do it with Java 22. So what I want you to do is I want you to switch. Do you have SDK Man?
Yes. Now, one problem is that I installed GraalVM 22 without SDK Man, so I've been switching back and forth
Okay.
between SDK Man. So that's why this file
Okay.
looks weird. You notice that I'm basically disabling SDK Man by
Yep.
adding this line here, but I'm happy to change it.
Yeah, let's try it. I want you to be successful. I want you to have
No, I would
confidence.
love to switch to just using SDK Man, so
I
I'm
like to
thinking
just
like
use SDK Man. That's what I
I should
like to do.
probably move this line or just remove it.
Get it out of there. You don't need that.
Okay. Let's see. Oops. I'm not great with
Control
Nano.
K. Control K will get rid of the whole line.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so now we're back to using SDK Man. Yes. Yes. And I always like to just double check that it actually worked. Okay. And now,
Give yourself a new shell so that you reload that config. There you go.
okay. Now I
SDK space use, or let's make sure you have it installed. Like back up, say SDK install space Java space 21.0.3 dash Graal. Yes. Nope. Take off the VM. There you go. Try that. There we go. So this is the latest version of the Graal VM.
And while that's installing, I'll just double check. This is, where is the thing I'm looking for?
It's down in your properties.
Oh, right there. 21. It is 21. Okay.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So now you're going to be using this. And a lot of folks really like it's this JDK 21.0.3 Graal. It's not just for building native images. It's also a really, really fast and cool JVM, multi-purpose JVM. But wait, there's more. Uh, I've got friends, and they're not all Java developers. Some of them even do Python. Josh, my teammate, he does Python. He loves Python. But taking Python to production is a thing. And just like we're doing here with the smaller footprint with our Java workloads, there's a way that you can use GraalVM for your Python workloads. And wait, there's even more to that. Like there's Python's available, and lots of people are doing it. But what I'm doing with it needs the Graal engine. I'm taking Python code, I'm using GraalPy, and I'm generating native Python code. But you also get their Polyglot API. I don't know all the details. I'm just trying to get to production. So I build this native image in Python, and then I can bring that native image into my Spring Boot app. So I have an actuator endpoint, and I can literally call a native Python program from my Spring Boot app. All because of GraalVM.
Mm-hmm.
What do we run into here? What does it say? The
Can't
requested.
find the native profile. Oh, because I'm not in any directory. Sorry.
I was like, what is it? How did that happen? All right. That's all right.
Oh, I need to be in downloads.
There.
Okay.
There you go. And I'm feeling pretty good about this. We're using the right JVM. We're going to build, and I think we're going to be in good shape. And we'll get all the details when it gets into the build pack. The build pack has two phases. It does a detect phase. So it's like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna use 17, it says, but then later it says, nope, we're gonna use Java version 21 extracted from the manifest. Fantastic. And then it says, oh, I see that you've got the GraalVM stuff. You want to do a native image, so we're going to add that layer. We've detected that you would like to do a native image, so we're going to add that layer to what we're doing, and then it does the build. So it's a detect phase to figure out which build packs it's going to use, and then the build. So now it's doing it. And I'm feeling pretty good about this. I've done this part enough times where
Can I go ahead and make a GitHub repo for this?
absolutely you can.
Okay.
Look at that. Everybody that's watching should go and they should follow this GitHub repo so that they can
I
have
don't know about
all of the
that.
stuff. Well, we're going to put in the GitHub actions that go and build the image. So we're going to do that right now. So yeah, so
Okay.
come get it. I appreciate you for, I mean, the Kansas City Java user group was last night. We had a great turnout. And one of the things that I know
Oops.
that I need to do is I need to encourage people to share more and to uh, pair more, do things in public. And I know that it's not easy. So I'm encouraging more people to take the step to deliver, to be a little bit vulnerable, right? I know it's not easy to jump on a stream and there's almost 1,000 people watching right now. You probably don't see that number, but yeah, it's pretty cool that you're out here doing this because there's other people that are interested in doing it and they're trying to figure out like, oh, how do I do it? Is it going to work? No, that's too complex. I don't have time to learn that, but we're going to get it figured out. So I'm looking on the little screen. I can't see everything that's going on. I assume that you're pushing things up to a GitHub repo. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go over to one of my other repositories where I've got these GitHub actions in place. And actually, I'll talk. This is what we are doing. Instead of building the bigger images, we're going to build native OCI images. So that's what's building on your computer right now. And I talked about here's the pipeline. Oops, I'm not sharing my screen. So I'm going to grab the screen and I'm going to bump this up. Your GitHub actions, we're going to build a native image for x86 and for ARM64. On GitHub, you can't do the ARM64 for free yet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you my Circle CI options. And I've got those pipelines and we've got friends. There's people in here. This is awesome. Pink Emma's coming for some tokens. She likes to sometimes I share the wrong screen and my tokens end up in Pink Emma's hands. So Pink Emma, we're happy that you're here. And my friend Icon is here. He says he's a hater. He's not. He's a teddy bear, and he's somebody I look up to. He's a really awesome streamer. You should check him out over on Twitch. And he's just saying, hey, he understands none of it, but he's here, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all of the support. And he says some good. We started with JavaScript. That's what got us into this mess. We're trying to make these native images for our front end as well. And yeah, we can do it. I know we can. Awesome. We're doing stuff.
Build success. Oh my God.
This is good. Wait, we got to share that. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Successful builds.
Amazing.
So we're good. We can build native images. And what you've just built, if you do a Docker images, you'll see that you've got a OCI, a Docker image for that app that's called native image. I can't read it. Do you see it in there?
Native demo.
There you go, native demo.
Do Fantastic. I see it in there? Yes, I do.
There you go. So you could Docker push that image to your Docker Hub, and then you can pull it down on another machine, on any other ARM64 Linux, because that's where we built it. And that's awesome. So that's one path, but that image will only work on ARM64. the operating system inside of that image is Linux. So that's okay, right? The operating system doesn't matter when you're in an OCI image. It'll use that operating system. Now the question is like, what about the other ones? What about the other stuff? Uh, are you running on ARM64 in production? Is that what you're going to deliver? Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to decide. So I'm taking another step. This is stuff that I'm pretty confident is going to work. And I'm talking about these pipelines. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to go to GitHub. Java Grunt is where I put some of this stuff. We'll do more of this later. And I think this one has it. It does. I have a pipeline here for Circle CI and for my GitHub workflows. So let's jump in and let's look at that main. So I'm going to put this link in the chat so you can go and copy. And this is my GitHub action, and I'm going to just walk through it and I'll explain it. Wait, this is the GitHub. We're running on Ubuntu latest. We're saying, hey, I want to log into Docker Hub because I'm going to push something to it when I'm done. I set up Java. I'm grabbing Liberica 21 here as the Java that I'm going to use when I build it. I'm setting up my names, but here's what I'm doing. Just what you just did. I'm running Maven W -p native Spring Boot build image. I'm running the exact same command. I get it with my POM file. So I don't have to do a whole lot. My GitHub action just says, give me Java, and then run the Spring Boot build image, because I don't need GraalVM in this action because it's in the build pack. The build pack detects it and it says, oh, it pulls down GraalVM inside of that build pack, which is just a Docker image that's doing all these things. Mm-hmm. So I didn't need to do anything more than have Java so that I can run Maven. Maven, go build me a build image. Maven, Spring Boot build image. And then when I'm done, I push it up to my Docker Hub. And that's step one. Now, step two is this is my, in GitHub, it's my x86 version, right? It's the x86 version of that image. And you'll see I did one extra step here. And this is because I build both images. I build the x86 image and the ARM64 image, and I glue them together in what's called a Docker manifest. But that's all in here as well. So this is a bonus material thing that you can do. You can choose not to, but this is the bonus material because it's simple. And my cheat code, my step here is, again, I log into Docker Hub and I do this retry. What I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, can you pull this other image, this ARM64 version of the image? Because when I did Spring Boot build image, I built it with a tag. You don't see it here, but I built it with a tag that said x86-64. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, see if you can pull it, timeout after 5 minutes, retry, wait for 60 seconds, try it 6 times. Like, give my pipelines a chance to go and pull down this other image, because in my pipelines, I also have this Circle CI config. And the Circle CI config is very similar, but it's for Circle CI. Grab Ubuntu current. They give me an ARM VM to run. So I'm building it for ARM64 over in Circle CI. I do the same things. Over there, I use SDKman. Give me a Java version. I didn't have to be the NIC version because I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the exact same command, but it's on ARM64. And then I log in and I upload it. I upload that file. I push that Docker image that was built with ARM64. I push that up to my Docker Hub. So when that's done, then my other one, the one we were just looking at, says, oh, it's there now. I've retried a couple of times. It's there now. So let me pull it down. And once I can pull it down, then it says, hey, go create this manifest. It says create this new manifest that doesn't have the architecture extensions on it, and build it. That's the amend. Glue these two images together. This version of x86, and so there's glue amend this version of the x86, amend this version with ARM64, and then I have this image to push. And I build it with two things. I didn't need to do that. I could have just done a git tag, which that's really confusing. Why did I do it that way? But I push one that has the image name and latest, but as a manifest. So then over in my Docker Hub, there's Gateway. There's the one that we were just talking about. And if I go in here to tags, you'll see that this was done 6 days ago. Latest and 0026, they've got the same SHA, right? The same values. But this layer here, this is the x86 version. And here's the ARM64 version. So you ask, if you do a Docker pull, Deshaun, com, Java Grunt Service Gateway latest, if you're on x86, you'll get this layer. If you're on ARM64, you'll get this layer. That feature has been inside of Docker for years. And we're just leveraging it in this manifest. And that's how on my path to production, my pipelines that you see here, I'm building both. And if I scroll down here, you'll see there's that ARM64 layer. Boop, there it is with the ARM64 tag. So if I just want to grab that tag and test it, I can. And then here's the x86 one. And you'll see that those digests are just being glued, amended into that manifest. So it's the exact same stuff. And when you ask for that version that doesn't have the architecture tag, whichever architecture you're on, you'll get. That's the cheat codes. So there's the example that we just looked at, is in this repository. And you can literally copy and paste those. Now, there's one additional piece here, is I added, for my build, let me show you what I've done. My build, I have version 0 in here. Because I don't like doing the Maven release stuff that updates your versions. I've got a way that it's using a library that's old and has issues, but it works. So I add an extension or two, and what that extension gives me is the ability to create my project's version based on my GitHub tag. And also, I have another one that says, define the architecture that I'm using. So those dependencies are over here in my .mdn folder, and they're in these extensions. So I'm using the OS plugin. That gives me the architecture and the OS details that I put into my tag name. And you could do this all manually, of course, but I have this convention, and the other piece is jgitver. So that my image tags, those tagged versions, the 00.26, that number came specifically from my tag, v0026, so that the images that go to production always match a tag that's in my repository. And that's just one of the conventions that I use, so that I don't have to worry about the versioning of my artifacts. They always align with the tag that they came from. So feel free to copy. Again, I'll put this repo into the chat. And then, yeah, I'll keep on saying, like, look, yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. And this says, Code of Strangers. What? This is amazing. Coding with Strangers is awesome. Also, Twitch fan. Like, this is just cool. Like, see, they're saying hi to each other. Like, I'm so lucky to be a part of this community. And look at even Todd Lindy's here. Like, Todd is amazing. Like, this has been good. So we posted some stuff. I gave you a link. Here's the link to my repository that has both my GitHub action and my Circle CI pipeline. So you can feel free to go and copy and paste. But that's how I'm building native images as a part of my pipelines, as a part of my GitHub actions, my Circle CI actions. And this is how I go forward. And I do that. I have a consistent pattern of doing that for all of these projects. I think this one's building. I'm looking for Circle CI and the GitHub workflows, and they're just the exact same thing. I've got the details abstracted out so that I can just take those same builds and I can run them anywhere. But now here's the thing. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't like that I have to copy a bunch of these files, because if I decide that, oh, I have a new thing, I've got to go and change that config across all of the projects that I use. It's fine for now, right? Like, this is a great way to share with you and in the community, but the way that I want to run in my house on my Raspberry Pis and stuff is I want to have pipelines that are just in one spot, a centralized location for my pipelines, so that when I do want to do changes to all of them, it's in one spot. That's all. What do you think? Do you think that you've been empowered to move forward a little bit?
Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't, I'm hearing the words that you're saying. A lot of the stuff is new to me. So like Circle CI, I've never heard of, and I'm not familiar with pushing stuff up to Docker
All
and then
right.
pulling it down. So,
Well,
but
fantastic.
I'm happy to just try it and see if it works.
Or we can just do it. So there's some things that need to go to be put in place. So Circle CI is here, and think of Circle CI as like your GitHub Actions. It'll attach to your GitHub repository just like your GitHub Actions do, and it'll do work based on some configs, based on those files, the Circle CI config YAML. And for the GitHub Actions, all you're doing is adding that GitHub workflows folder, and then this is the thing that creates the GitHub action. So
Hmm.
if you just copy, oh, that one's broken. Let's go back to our gateway. I'm embarrassed. Let's go
I
back to our
copied
gateway.
the, I copied your main YAML and your config
All
YAML.
right, and then if you put it into a .github workflows folder,
Mhm.
what you'll see is it'll just show up. You'll get actions, and it'll have the names that it takes from the file, and you'll be able to run it. So in mine, I guess there's one thing I left out. In mine, I had a little thing. I have a little convention that says, I only want you to do this if this is on a tag. So it has that V. The tag starts with V star.
Mhm.
That's how I tag my branches. So only do this. Only do this GitHub action if I've pushed a tag that starts with V star. So that if I just do a commit, I can still commit code, right? I'm jumping between computers. I can still commit code to my repository on my main branch, but at some point I tag it. And if I tag it, then I'm saying, this is ready for production, take this. But I don't want to tag all of my commits, or I don't want to build images for all of my commits. I want to build images when they're ready. And that's how I do it. That's my convention. So if you want to just build on everyone, you can just remove this. And there's other things you can do, like you can force it and you can make it so you get a button to build it. So you can have it automated, or you can have a push button that says, hey, I would like to build a new image. So we have options. So things, I'm gonna assign you some homework. Uh, what I want you to do is I want you to set up a Docker Hub account, which is free, as long as you make the repositories public. I think you get a couple for free, but you set up a Docker Hub account, which is they'll store your OCI images for you. And there's some conventions around that. You'll get a URL, right? Luckily I got Deshaun, so those images you can do a
And
Docker
there's
pull.
no security issues with that.
Yeah,
There's,
don't put secrets in there.
okay.
Yep, there's definitely like anything you put out there, it's public. So don't put secrets in those images. But I'm so happy that you even went there. Just ask that question. Yes, there are concerns. Don't put secrets in there because anybody can download it and they can go in and look and they have all the data. Um, but that's step one. Like create that account so you can. I've even got conventions on how I build my images, right? So you can guess where that's coming from in my GitHub. But I only have one org. You only get one free org. So I use my name and then I build the different projects that I build. but they all go into my registry. And Big M is saying, no, put them in there. It's just fine. She'll find them. And after you get that set up, right, you practice the pushing and pulling of your images. The commands are just Docker push to send it up. You'll have to authenticate with your Docker Hub after you get it set up. Then you'll be able to push images to your repo. And then we want to start building. You'll have to set up a Circle CI account, which is also free. And those ARM64 runners are also free. And you'll attach your repositories over here. Look, I've got Java Grunt and Com. I've got it attached. So it's doing the same thing. It built that version 26 of that same repository. So that's what they get kicked off at the exact same time. Circle CI is watching that repo, and GitHub Actions is watching that repo. Over on the Circle CI side, you'll have to like set up the project. If I go over here, you'll have to set up the project. It sees that I've got a Flux repository in my GitHub, but I don't want to run. There's nothing in there I want to run over on Circle CI. So I've only set up the projects that I want to have built on Circle CI. But it's painless. And I'm here to help. But I want you to understand it, and I want you to learn. So I'm going to give you some homework. But I'm going to give you homework with the knowledge that if you get stuck again, I want you to go learn. And I know that you're moving forward and you're awesome at asking the right questions. So I'm giving you some homework. Set up Docker Hub, set up Circle CI. I want you to use this repository as your like guidance for how things are going. It's public. Even I'm pretty sure you can go and see the GitHub Actions. So you can see how they run, and you can see the output. If you run into something, you can find out where the differences are. And we're on Discord. You get stuck on anything, I want you to, at the level, I want you to learn. But as soon as you're like, I don't know what's going on here, raise your hand and we'll do it again. And we'll do it together. We can just come in and do it together, and we can walk through it. But I have some other meetings that I had to get to.
Okay.
So I'll ask again, how do you feel?
I don't know. I'll try it.
Okay.
I really appreciate having some next steps to try,
Right.
and yeah, I'll follow the path as
So
far as I
my
can.
my thing is, I would love to see just the native demo. I want to see that image in your Docker Hub, which I know it builds. It's going to work. I think even if you use my extensions, I think it'll work. You'll be able to build it, and you can just, if you copy paste both of those files in your repo and you hook it up with Circle CI, you'll get the manifest. You can literally copy those files. You'll have to change the naming of the images a little bit to match, but that, I think, I'm confident that you can handle that part. And then you'll have a manifest. You'll have both architectures with native images, and then we can circle back. I think you can.
Great.
I think you can do it.
Okay.
I feel confident.
Thanks.
But this was fun. Thank you for doing it. Right? Like, you asked for help, and then I'm like, hey, but you got to do it in front of 1,000 people. What do you think? I think that was a good trade. It was fun, and yeah, and the muscle memory doing this, you get better with practice. You do these things more often. Then yeah, I need to do that. I need more muscle memory. I got to do more of this. So I'm gonna say thank you for letting me do this.
Yeah, thanks.
And yeah, and if you get stuck, call me. All right. Thanks, Nathan.
All right.
I'm gonna cut it here, and good luck, and enjoy your weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot.
See ya.